All right. What's going on, friends? It's been a long time since I've been able to do these just for lack of time. Life happens, right? And it's so funny how you can be really good at something in one season, and the next season comes around and you haven't done it in a little while, and it's just like flat. And like when I used to do these twice a week, once a week, twice a week, and now it's like so funny how like I have to like kind of like psych myself up to go live because it's kind of a big deal. It's a lot of pressure, like you're going live and like you can say something really dumb and the whole world knows about it. And so I've been thinking about lately that really there's kind of two groups of people that exist in our day and age, and they are the creators and the critics. And how like you just can't, if you're creating something, whatever it is, don't pay attention to the critics. Just like, don't let it dampen your joy or creativity or whatever. But I will say, even in your worst critic in life, there is usually a grain of truth that you can glean from them that will help you. That's just great advice. Usually it's not, usually when somebody criticizes you, it's not completely baseless. That does happen for sure, but don't, learn what you can from even your haters, So anyway, that said, I want to start out today with a couple of thank yous, and those thank yous are to everyone who messaged me and text me, DM me, whatever, just encouraging me to make these videos. It means so much to me, and it wasn't like hundreds of people, but it was like a dozen people at different times. And I'm so humbled because every one of them said, there's value in what you're sharing. And, I just want to thank each and every single one of you that have helped, with making these videos. What's up, Ka? Thanks for the emoji. And so it was hugely encouraging. And that's why I'm on here again. Because I really, at the end of the day, I pray this prayer often. And I think about it maybe too much. But I'm always asking myself, like, what? And praying. And I'm like, God, what is the most good I can do with my life? Like, how, and so I turn into a Goodwill commercial, like, doing the most good, but that is the philosophy of these. I've learned a lot in life, and I think we all have. And I really wish everybody would do this. I really wish that everybody would just go live and share what they've learned in life. Because like there's no sense in all of us recreating the wheel through every circumstance and trial. Like share what you know. And YouTube is a great platform for that. Facebook is a great platform for that. But unfortunately we use it for like cat videos and stuff. And who doesn't love a good cat video? But there's so much value. My dad has this quote. He'd talk about when teachers would retire. And he says when they would discuss it, they would always say a library dies when every teacher retires, because all that experience, everything that they've learned through decades goes away with them. And that's one of the reasons why I want to make these is I just want to take whatever it is that I've learned that has helped me and put it out there in hopes that it can help you as well. And I hope that you do the same thing too, because you've learned different lessons than I have. And like, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Like if we all shared the stuff that we've learned and we're intentional about learning from other people who have gone through something or sharing what we've learned, like I think that would make the world a lot of a better place. You know what I mean? And so that kind of goes into one of the things I wanted to talk about, but I'll come back to that. The first thing is, like I said, the thank you to everybody that encouraged me to do these. Because I need that because I think in my own heart and mind that these are valuable. They have value to them. But have you ever realized that sometimes what goes on up here is not what goes on in the real world? Anybody else? So you need that feedback. Feedback is valuable. Even, like I said, from the critics, from the haters, because even in your worst critic, there's usually a grain of salt that you can glean from them to learn and to improve whatever you do, whatever your craft is. So that's the first thing. Second thing is some apologies. Some apologies are for sure in order for anybody that has texted me or DM'd me this week and has gotten in response a rock opera with my text response as the lyrics, including falsetto choruses and all that. I discovered Suno this week, and I don't know if you've ever used it or not, but it is mind-blowingly amazing how accurate the vocals are. It's all AI. You give it a prompt, you talk to it in language, in words, describe what you want, and then there's a text box for lyrics. And so what do I do with it? Here I am talking about how valuable it would be if we all shared what we learned. We have access to this incredible technology that makes these amazing songs, and I respond to text with it in like 80s glam metal. Like, you know, so it's a real temptation. But I just want to apologize because I think some were received better than others, but I had a blast. Like, I was dying laughing when I would just hit the send button. Well, first of all, when I would hit play to see what it generated, and then secondly, when I sent it, just thinking I'm the funniest guy on earth. I don't know if that was how it was received. At least some people responded in kind. So that was the second thing. And then I'll just jump back to what I was referring to earlier is like, we all have problems. Something I'll say until the day that I die is that the only people without problems are in a cemetery. And when we have life, when we have a heartbeat, when we have breath in our lungs, we will have problems. And so every single human you will ever meet is experiencing problems. Myself, all of us, no exceptions. Babies, maybe. Well, no, because even then they cry because what? They have a problem. And so in that spirit, and like, yes, I'm chewing gum. I know you're not supposed to chew gum on camera, but I don't care. Like, I was told that I'm not supposed to wear like a black belt with brown shoes, you know, for outfits and stuff. So I purposely do it. I think I still have like a rebellious spirit in me. I don't know. Pray for me. But every problem that you have, and this is really something of value that I'm giving that's really helped me and that I hope helps you, can be solved. Unless you're going to Mars, or doing something just completely out of the convention, whatever problem you're going through, somebody else has also gone through that problem. And part of solving problems is first and foremost identifying what they are. Because I'll be honest with you guys, this last week was so interesting. What's that quote? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. There are so many of my friends that I've talked to, like that I interacted with, whether on the phone or message or whatever, that are just having these incredible breakthroughs in their life. Incredible breakthroughs. And, it's just so cool to celebrate with them, making art, making music, writing books, being on television, all this sort of stuff. It's so cool to celebrate with them. And then at the end of the week, just one of my very best guy friends from Kansas City, just an awesome dude, going through the struggle of his life. Like, just gut-wrenching stuff. And like, just talking to him made me appreciate, because like I'm on the optimism end of the spectrum, like very much so. It's my natural disposition. And what's the old adage? You need optimists to build the plane and pessimists to build the parachutes, right? It takes all of us to learn and do life. And as I was talking to him, I kind of was, because like just up to his eyeballs, just stuff. And like, I don't know if that's you today, but hopefully this helps. And I was just, because when you talk to people that have got like when you have like wise counsel around you, like you get feedback that you don't get from just inside your head. 'Cause like inside of your head can really turn into an echo chamber fast. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a really bad, dangerous thing, you know? And so one of the things that I want to encourage you to do when you have a problem in life is to just get a pen or a pencil and write it down. Because what you're going to find is that oftentimes when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel anxious, when you just feel like you're in a vice and things are going really, really poorly and just you're struggling and you're like, why is this happening? It's because you're trying to solve like 10 problems at one time. And if you can just get it out of your head and onto a simple piece of paper, just write it down. You can identify which problems are individual. Like you can sort the stuff that goes on inside of here onto paper. And I can't tell you how clarifying it is. Because I don't know if you know this, but every human every day has an average of 40 to 80,000 thoughts. That's a lot. And some psychologists will say that 90% of the thoughts that we think today are the very same ones that we thought yesterday. And that little 10% is our margin, or our availability to change, which is really sobering and crazy. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it kind of seems right. And when you're able to get those thoughts out and put them on paper, one of my heroes, one of my favorite humans of all time, Dr. Edith Eger, a Holocaust survivor who went through the most horrific experience of life and then later wrote 2 amazing books, The Gift and The Choice. And The Choice is the one I would recommend for every human on earth to read. She dealt with her trauma for like 40 years before she went back to school to get her psychology degree and became a psychiatrist and worked with other trauma victims. And spoiler, just what she really learns is that in every situation, the only thing that you have that no one else can take away from you is the thoughts that you have and the choice of what to do with those thoughts. Another way to say that is if you can change your thoughts, you can change your whole environment. The environment doesn't have to change, but you can change your thoughts and everything else changes. Another way to say that is if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so, like, you can have 2 people in identical circumstances, and one is just dejected and depressed and just at the lowest of low, and like the other person is like, okay, I can figure this out, I can manage this, I can deal with this, and is finding ways to win, encouraging themselves, and moving forward toward a larger goal. Not getting stuck in that moment. And our thinking is so important. It's so important. I could go all day on that topic. I won't. But if you're having problems, I want you to get them out. And what I do specifically, and I think I might have done this on my own, like created this idea on my own. I get a notebook, and on every on the top of a fresh blank piece of paper, I put a problem. One problem. And then when I think of another problem, on the next blank piece of paper, I put one other problem that I'm thinking of. And if you really do this, you guys, you'll probably find that in all of your life, you really only have like 1 or 2 or 3 major problems that you're dealing with, and then maybe 3 or 4 kind of secondary issues, give or take. This is ballpark. This is not scientific. But when you identify them as separate problems, you can tackle them accordingly. Because what happens with most times with people with anxiety is they're so frustrated and because they're trying to solve a little bit of this problem here and a little bit of this problem, but they're not even realizing it. It's like a tornado. And if you can get that stuff out of your head and onto paper, it'll clarify your life more than you have any idea. And, what the quote from Dr. Edith Eger, again, her book, The Choice, 42 out of 10. It's my favorite book, most transformative book I've ever read outside the Bible. Like, and I think I'm up to like 1,040 books that I've read at this point. And so, but her quote is, expression is the greatest cure for depression. And so to be able to express yourself in some way, shape, or form is half the battle. Because when it just stays inside and bounces all around, like it's not doing anything good unless you can do some action that moves yourself consciously out of that situation and into the situation that you want. It's not going to help at all. So you need to transform those thoughts. In fact, I was just sharing with a friend this week that, when I have all my books out of the totes and everything and they're all on the shelves, I have a biographical shelf, which is huge. It's one of my favorite categories to read because you get to learn and develop skills through somebody else's entire life. You don't have to do it all yourself. You get to learn everything from them. And especially like high performers and people that have done amazing things, learn from them. You know, like you might as well, right? Don't just recreate the wheel in your own life. And I was thinking that like out of every single biography of like heroes, people who have done incredible things, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, like General Grant, Abraham Lincoln, all these incredible people, like you look at their lives and they were all hard. All of them had a hard life. I can't think of one, not one book where that I've read it, I've been inspired, and then I look at their life and I'm like, yeah, their life was pretty easy for most of their life, and then they were able to do these great things. So great challenges and great adversity is actually the ingredients that you need to do great things in life. And so, like, as crazy as it sounds, your adversity and your difficulties and your struggles that you're dealing with in life are actually a gift. Not only for you, which I know sounds ludicrous when you're in the midst of something, but it's also a gift for others. And the people that made my bookshelf, that wrote these books, that did these incredible things, or biographers that wrote about them, what they were able to do is translate those struggles and those difficulties into perseverance, into tenacity, into a grit where they kind of just like took that and transformed it into fuel to fuel their drive for their outcome or to do whatever great thing that they did. And so the people that didn't make that shelf, and which is a lot of people that you see every single day, they're having the exact same adversity, the exact same problems as a lot of the people who have done wonderful things in life that went through the exact same thing, but they let those problems define them. They let those problems bury them. They let those problems consume them. And that's the opposite of what you want to do when you're experiencing your problems. And I'm speaking from my own life. I'm not sharing anything that's just theory. Like, this is just the stuff that I've learned that I wish, like, and that's going to go into my next topic here. But like, if I died tomorrow, what would I want to share with you to pass along that would help you the most? And that's kind of how I think about when I do these things. And yeah, because I think we all need to do that. Because like I said, my dad has this great quote: when a teacher retires, they always say a library dies with them. You have a library of resources, of experience, of lessons learned that you can pass along to other people. And I think we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our kids and future generations to share what we've learned, you know? And so speaking of the sobering topic of death, this week was crazy because started off, it was actually the end of last week, I learned that my pharmacist at Costco, if anybody lives in the Milwaukee area, this girl was shot and killed. And, I probably shouldn't say that on my live. I might get censored. But her life ended because she and a friend were in Milwaukee, and like, I guess they were like smoking whatever, and her friend got paranoid and just ended her life. And it was so crazy because the last time I was in there, she was my pharmacist, and I was giving them such grief because they in Costco, in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin here, they have this like, it looks like an old school mail room where they have all these little slots and stuff, and they lost somebody's prescription. I was just teasing them, and I'll never forget her name because it was Ariel, and that was the name of my trucking company. I still have it. I sold parts of the rights to it, but, and then I went back in, and there's this memorial fund to support Ariel and her family. And I was like, wait, is that Ariel, the pharmacist that works here? And they're like, yeah, haven't you heard? I'm like, no, I'm usually traveling throughout the weekend. And plus, when I'm home, I never watch the local news. And then they told me. And then not only that, but today is the anniversary of one of my favorite humans' death. He was one of I started working at the Rawhide Boys Ranch, which was a really cool, anyway, I won't get into that, but it was some of the greatest times of my life, just helping kids, knucklehead kids, because I was a knucklehead big time until I was 21. Well, until last week, really. I'm still working my way out of it, but really until I was 21. And so I spoke knucklehead. I've been there, done that, you know. And one of the first guys that I really got to like connect with and pour into, his name was Zach. Zachary Juneau. And today was the anniversary of his death. He died, it's been like 5 or 6 years now, I think. And Jenny, if you're watching, I think about that kid so much, because check it out, you guys. This kid was one of the most charismatic, cool, fun-loving guys I've ever met in my entire life. And he was just a sponge to like, you know, like, just to give you a little feel for, you know, who this guy was. He moved, I think it was his senior year, to Australia. And within 1 year of moving there, he became their class president. Like, that's this guy. And just the coolest guy. And then when he came home, you guys, and this ties into Ariel, and this ties into a couple other things that I wanted to share tonight. When he came home, he connected with an old girlfriend. They did the things that they used to do that involved shooting up. and it was a bad batch, and fentanyl got him, or it was whatever it was that was in what he used, and he's not here anymore. And it's just soul crushing. And this Ariel, it's just soul crushing. And then I was texting my best friend from high school. His name was Peter Rich. If any of you know him, like, he was a legend. He was our senior class president, and just like, God, he couldn't have been like 5'6", 5'7", just a little dude. Just so much life came out of this guy, and he's passed away too from an asthma attack when he was in Brazil. And so it sounds counterintuitive. It sounds morbid, but I think the more we think about our mortality, the better we're going to live. And it's kind of my big other message for today. It's because, and then today also is my friend Sheila's birthday, who passed away during COVID, and she was awesome. She was the mom of one of my guys from Rawhide, and anyway, and you guys, like, we're not promised tomorrow. Like, are you hearing me? Like, we're not promised tomorrow. And D.L. Moody said, the man or woman who's ready to die today is the best man or woman who's ready to truly live today. Because if you haven't settled that question of your own mortality, you're not really thinking in terms of this time that you have on earth. Because, like, death is the great equalizer of us all. Whether you're rich or poor, or you've had an easy life, quote unquote, or you've had a hard life, we're all going to meet the same end. And it's a matter of what we do with that time in between. And if you can be conscious of that moment and live in light of it, it will be the greatest gift you can ever do for yourself. Like, I mean that, because like I said, like D.L. Moody says so good, the person who's ready to die today is the only person who's truly ready to live today. Because unless you're living in light of that day, chances are pretty good that the things that you're working on, the things that you're anxious about, the things that are grieving you or causing you problems on that day won't matter. So what thinking about that does, memento mori is a great Latin phrase that says, remember that you too will die, something along those lines. And what that does is it brings everything into clarity and focus. Because when you don't have clarity and focus in your life, you spend your energy. You have finite energy. You have finite emotional energy, physical energy, mental bandwidth. Like, it's finite. And so what we choose to do with that little bit of power that's allocated to us and energy that's allocated to us determines who we become as a human and what we do in this life that we live. Right? And so when you think about that day, it calibrates everything. Because, like, if you've ever had glasses or like a windshield that's super covered in dust or whatever, like, you can't see clearly and your view of things in front of you is distorted. And what thinking about that time does is it brings absolute clarity to your entire life. And I can't recommend it enough. I think about it maybe too much. I don't think so. Because I tell you what, when I'm having a really bad day and I'm getting down, or maybe, when you are, just remember that, like if that was your last day on earth, right? So, like, imagine that, like, just the next time, just remember this video the next time you're having a bummer of a day. Remember, if this was your last day on earth, how would that change your interaction to the world around you, the problems, the situation? All right. I'm done on my little soapbox on that, but you guys, and then I will say one more thing. The day that I prayed to God and I said, God, I don't know you, because I knew there was a God. I mean, I would watch the birds flock in their formations and the way that they would all fly together. And I just knew, I'm like, this couldn't be by chance. I did the origin of species as my thesis, when I was studying biology, right? And so I was a big Darwin guy for a long time. But when I just this one day, I was in my little hometown of Hartford, Wisconsin. It was behind the old St. Vinny's, and I would see a flock of like 50 pigeons. And it was like, a school of fish swimming in the ocean. And the way that they all turned together, the way that they just moved in such synchronicity, I'm like, there has to be something. So I always believed that there was a God, but I didn't. My grandma taught me to pray this prayer to Saint Anthony to find stuff. It was like this prayer, dear Saint Anthony, look around, I have something that can't be found. And that dude never helped me find anything, right? So like prayer for me was kind of like, meh, like, I don't know, like I never saw tangible benefit until I was introduced to Jesus Christ. When somebody told me that Jesus died for my sins and that if I will just believe that Jesus paid the penalty for all my sins on that cross, and if I asked God for forgiveness for those sins and believe that Jesus died for them, that like I would have a reestablished connection with God. And you guys, that was the turning point of my entire life. My life before that was a train wreck. Like I was as lost as a goose in a snowstorm. Like I couldn't engineer an accident, right? Like my relationships were a disaster. Like, like it was just rough because I was living selfishly. I was living for myself. I was stuck in this head. And anytime we get stuck in our head, the outcome is not going to be great because that's our default setting as humans coming out of the human factory. Is selfishness. What's a baby's first word? Me, mine, And if we can get outside of our heads and get connected to God in a way that just says, God, so the beginning of my prayer was, God, I don't know you. You might as well start to be honest, because if God is all powerful and all knowing, like he knows. I didn't even say it out loud, you guys. You don't have to pray out loud, although our words, I heard the greatest quote on words ever this week. It was, words, our lives are gardens of our own words. Our lives are gardens of our own words. And it's so true. And this was a guy who's an atheist. It doesn't matter if what your beliefs are. If something's true, it's true. And I'll go one step further. Your thought, our lives are the seeds of our words and our thoughts. Because Lao Tzu has this great, it's attributed to him. He says, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your destiny. And it's absolutely true. I missed a character in there. It doesn't matter. You get the point. Every thought you think, 40 to 80,000 thoughts, think of them as seeds. Every word you speak, think of them as seeds, because our lives and the lives around us are gardens of seeds that reflect the words and the thoughts that we've had. So that was a freebie. I wasn't planning on saying that. But yeah, no, it's just really important to think about our thoughts. And then to get back to Jesus, when I asked him to forgive, I said, God, I don't know you. In my mind, I didn't even say it out loud. But I believe Jesus died for my sins. The end. That was my prayer. I said, God, I don't know you. Please forgive me for all the wrong I've done. I believe Jesus died for my sins. That was it. Period. Like, however long that sentence was, I said it when I was 21 years old, and my life has never been the same. And since that day, I can look at my own death in light of hope, in light of peace, in light of expectation, not of dread. So before I got saved, I call this moment when I got saved. I was a professional musician. I had everything you could possibly want in life. Like, if you were to say, like, ask me when I was 18, what does a perfect life look like? I had it when I was 20. I got offered to join a rock band down in Austin, Texas, live music capital of the world. And, I had it all. Like, it was Jessica Alba and Bruce Willis were filming in the area. They would come down to our shows, and people would stop me in the streets. And Gary Clark Jr., one of my first shows, I turned around and this tall, skinny black dude was just kind of hanging there. And Eric's like, "That's Gary. Gary, what's up? Hey, this is Tony," whatever. And so now he's gone on to do incredible things. If you don't know Gary Clark Jr., he is brilliant. He's awesome. So talented. And, so anyway, I had all that and it was so empty. It was really cool for 3 months. And then the next 3 months I was like, I thought there was more to life than this. And then after that 6 months of doing that, I'm like, there has to be more to life than this, because otherwise I'm out. And literally, because I thought life up until that point was to be a rock star. Think about it, the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing. And what is that? It's all selfish. It's all for me. And when the whole world revolves around you, it's very unfulfilling, to say the least, and very painful. And it's just a misery. And so that's what led me to kind of be desperate and cry out to God and pray that prayer that I did. And you can pray that same prayer that I prayed. Remember, like I said, God, I don't know you, but I'm sorry. That's exactly the words that I used. I didn't quite say it right before. I said, God, I don't know you, but I'm sorry. I believe Jesus died for my sins. Period. And my life was never the same. And that's the God factor. You invite God into any problem that you have, and you infinitely increase the chance for miracles, for breakthrough, for stuff. And it doesn't always happen. I sent a friend of mine a book that is one of the most profound, powerful books I've ever read in my entire life. And it was on a girl, so back in 2010, 11, 12, there was a song by Laura Story called Blessing. And it's like, what if our greatest pains in life is your mercy in disguise? And it's like this whole idea of just what if the most painful, difficult things in our life are the greatest expressions of God's love and mercy toward us. And it seems like so ludicrous and like absurd. But what you don't know is that when she wrote that song and it blew up, it was huge. Her husband, I can't remember, was it a brain tumor? He was this really active, cool guy, stud of a guy, baseball coach, all this sort of stuff. He lost his ability to move, to talk, to communicate. Like, they were at the prime of their life. It was at the prime of her success. And she was getting radio play all over the world. And then she'd go home to her home, and her husband was bedridden in his 20s, I think, maybe 30s, but just completely out of nowhere. And she really lived that song. And the title of her book, which I recommend to anyone going through a really difficult time, is what if God doesn't fix it? Or When God Doesn't Fix It. It's by Laura Story. It's her main book. And my friend started reading it, and she's like, I'm into the first chapter, and so many things I can connect to. Because again, you guys, whatever problem it is that you're going through, and I promise you're going through problems because you're alive and listening to this. I don't think any of you are AI yet. And you can, I shared earlier about how I solve problems. I get a notebook, and I put just one problem at the top of a page, get a blank page, put another problem. For each problem, you guys, find people who have gone through that exact same thing and learn what they have done to get through it. Don't just figure it out on your own. Why would you do that? Learn from people who have gone through those problems. What is it? Finances? Is it relationships? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Is it career problems, or fulfillment issues, trying to find your purpose in life? I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I love doing this. I love doing this so much. And so I think maybe this has something to do with it. But you just got to try trial and error. Try different stuff. Find different things. But find people who have been exactly where you're at in each of those problems, and just learn from them. While the internet is accessible to all of us, we have the Library of Alexandria at our fingertips. You guys, any problem that you have, like I said, unless you're going to Mars, or, somebody has gone through what you're going through. Learn from them. I shared a couple of really cool people of mine that have passed away. If you're grieving, and we're all grieving, we all experience loss. Ever since we've been born, we go through loss in life. Loss of, the security of the womb, loss of, being fed and everything, and contained in one unit. And then we come into this real world, and then we lose, our ability to be autonomous. We're having to be taken care of. And then we lose, friends and family. And anyway, we're all experiencing loss. We're all experiencing grief of that loss, whether it's a lost relationship, a lost hope, a lost, career thing, like job promotion, a lost opportunity, lost time. The list goes on. And so find the people that have experienced that loss and like learn from them, because life is how you look at it. Like, what is it in Dante, or I can't remember who did it, but he says like our brains are so powerful they can make a heaven out of hell and a hell out of heaven. And it's true. And it's true. How you look at something determines your relationship with that thing. And if you change the way that you look at something, the thing that you're looking at changes. And that sometimes makes all the difference. Like one of those things that I use in my own life is like if I'm stuck in traffic or just, you ever wake up, and that gets into my main point for tonight, because it's Sunday nights, 7:30 Central Time. You ever wake up and just everything's going wrong? Like just perpetually, just like it's like a machine is out of sync. And it's like all of a sudden, I'll have a day like that and I'll think like, what if this is my last day on earth? Like, if this is my last day on earth, how would my interaction with my day differ? It changes everything in a moment. And that's how, if you change the way you look at something, the thing that you're looking at changes. And it's the difference between a happy and fulfilling and joy-filled life and a life that's frustrating and anxiety-ridden and filled with depression and sadness and regret. How you look at things. And it all starts with your mind. It all starts with how you talk about things. Like, you can learn a lot about somebody by how they talk about a failed relationship in the past, about how they've talked about something that they've failed at. And how do you talk about the things that you've gone through? Is it with bitterness or just pain or vitriol or whatever? Like, watch what you say, because our lives are gardens of our words. Hats off to Andrew. He's, like I said, he's an atheist, and he gave me one of the best quotes ever. I love that quote because it's such a brilliant metaphor. And so back to like the main point for tonight. So it's Sunday night. You guys, your week, how that week goes, that upcoming week goes, starts right now. So it's 7:30 Central Time on Sunday. Whenever you're watching this though, just apply. Sunday nights are such a strategic day. It's such an important part of like looking ahead to your week, getting it on paper. For the love of God, please learn to write things down. Writing things down is one of the greatest things that you can ever do for yourself. Because like I said, trying to remember stuff buried under 40 to 80 thoughts that you have every day is just like, good luck. And it's just a waste of energy. And it's so funny. I was talking to my mom the other day. I needed a flashlight. She's like, "Oh, I think it's here. And we were looking for it. And I realized in that moment that I don't have to look for stuff anymore. Like, this is a new experience, because like, simple thing, just putting things back in the same place every single time. Like, that one thing can change your life. Like, if you're always looking for stuff, and like, that's wasted energy. Cause like I said, we have a finite amount of energy with emotional, mental, physical like we have finite reservoirs in each of those categories. And if your efforts, like, cause you have to physically move, and emotionally you're like, oh, where is it? It's that fuel meter is just going down. And a simple way to just get rid of that in your life is to just put things back in the same place all the time. Because then when circumstances dictate that you have to put them in someplace different, it stands out to you. It's like, oh, I always put it here, but now I had to put it here, and it's just A or B. But when it's a different thing every time, you're literally using your brain to have to remember these brand new novel experiences. And it's just really not a good use of that mental bandwidth that you have, I promise. Because all that energy that you put toward things that you could have prevented are preventing you from using that mental bandwidth toward things that really matter. All right. And that's really important to remember. Because a lot of people are just playing defense in life. They're just responding and reacting to things. And that's why Sundays are so important. Because if you can sit down with yourself for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I love earplugs. I always put earplugs in, and just look at my schedule for this coming week. Like, what do I have to do? Just close your eyes and visualize yourself going through that schedule. Like, it's amazing. Put out your clothes the night before. Do you know what's so funny? It's amazing how statistically significant this fact is. If of all the bad days that I've had ever in my life, none of those involved me putting my clothes out the night before. None. None. Like every one that I have had a bad day, I did not do that. I did not think ahead to do that sort of stuff. And when I think of like a really good day that I have, I always put my clothes out ahead of time just because it's one less thing that you have to do. I watched the most incredible YouTube video with Andrew Huberman this week. A lot of you guys watch him. He's brilliant. Stanford professor of neurology and ophthalmology. Brilliant dude. And specifically for men, but everybody would benefit from this. But really men. DJ Shipley's a former DevGru guy, which is the Navy Special Warfare SEAL Team 6, which you guys probably are familiar with. The best of the best of the best of the best. And he describes his morning routine, and it is awesome. It is awesome. I won't try to duplicate that, but I'll include the link in the comments to that and any other, and maybe the Laura Story book and the Edith Eger book, The Choice, because you're one resource away from a totally different life. You're one relationship away from a totally different life. And that ties back into something I wanted to mention before about my beautiful friend Zach and this girl, this pharmacist that was her life ended. It involved who they hung out with. You know, like if you're dealing with constant anxiety and your life is just it feels like you're uphill and into the wind all the time, check the people that you're around. There was a study that was like if you have and that this is great because now I remember another point I wanted to make. If you have like 3 overweight friends, like you have a 25% chance more of being that fourth. And just physically who we surround ourselves with, changes our actual physiology because they determine our actions, our habits, kind of the way that we talk and move and think and stuff. And so your friends are so important. And like, even if you're in total isolation, the internet gives you the ability to surround yourselves with truly incredible, remarkable people. Books allow you just the ability to surround yourself with truly remarkable, incredible people to get inspired by. Because you guys, like, everything in life is either taking energy from you or adding energy to you. And like, it's like, think of your life as or your soul or your spirit or your heart is like a battery. And like, a lot of us are on minimal battery charge. And like, we're just getting through the day. We have to jumpstart our day every day with tons of caffeine. Guilty for sure. I'm not criticizing that. I love caffeine. Or whatever it is. And if we will just learn to live a life that integrates the things that inspire us, the things that recharge our batteries and to recognize and be aware of when our battery is getting kind of drained. Like, you know, you'll talk to some people and you'll just feel like that, that low grade intensity anxiety. And you could just, if you could see a gauge, you could just see your life energy just, you know, going down. And so you need to recognize that, and then you need something that'll rebuild you after that. Or like, if you can plan ahead enough, you can think about where your energy is going to be at a specific point of the day and say like, well, I'm going to need a lot of energy for this. So I don't want to do this at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. after a really long day, you know? And so, like, managing your life energy is a really vital thing. Getting your problems outside of your head and onto paper is a really important thing. Thinking about your own mortality is a really important thing. I'm dumping everything I have on you guys. Like, I'm giving you my very best, and I hope, and even if you take one thing and apply it, like, it could totally change your life. Because, I joke, if I ever finish this book that I've been writing forever, since like 2013, I exported all my words, and I have like enough words for like my own Tolstoy War and Peace. Like, I have so many words, but they're just not good. I need to develop my skill as a writer. But if I ever do finish it, I joke that it'll be titled like "The Little Things Really Matter. You should really be concerned with the little things." I'll shorten it up. But seriously, you guys, 1% of improvement in any category of life that's kind of giving you a hard time, compounded over time, it's a totally different outcome. It's totally different. And so it's the little things in life that really compile and accumulate to totally different outcomes. I think with a plane, if a plane like takes off in like San Francisco and it's off by 1 degree, that first hour, it's not really a big difference, but over the course of traveling across the continental United States, it's the difference between trying to get to New York and ending up in Washington D.C. I mean, it's a big difference, and that's what these little changes are in life. If you'll just take time on Sunday to go through your schedule this upcoming week, to what do you want to accomplish, and to see it before it happens. That's a great rule of thumb, is to not do anything until you're able to see it through in your mind. Until it happens. It's just like our imaginations are so powerful. And unfortunately, our default setting out of the factory is negative biased. Like we use our imaginations to catastrophize and think worst case scenarios and think worst thing about what people are thinking about us or whatever. And it's just a waste. Let's not waste our life resources. Like, let's not do that. And like bringing God into any problem that you have can change everything. So like what I do is, so I have that journal with all my problems on different pages, and I'm going to land this bird here, wrap this up. But it's been great. Like I've been able to share some really important things, that have been on my heart. And I really pray and hope, with all my heart that it helps, because I'm not doing this for me. I really promise I'm not. I try not, this is the first time I'm actually looking at myself, because I realize I gotta look at the little camera, you know? And so it's like, it's not for me. It's because I'm trying to always think about how I can add value to others, how I can leave this world a better place than when it was before I was here, you know? Because we all leave a wake, like a trail in our lives. And I drive a lot, and so like there are some people on the highway that are just like wakes of destruction. Like they're not paying attention, or they're really high or messed up or under the influence or whatever, and just they're like swerving, and you see one car after the other just dodging, and I'm like, you're just bringing destruction everywhere you go, aren't you? Well, our lives are like that. Just our routine, going to the gas station, going to our job, going whatever. And we can change that outcome if we'll take the time to take care of ourselves, by getting our problems out of our heads and onto paper, by praying, by managing our life resources. But so to wrap up the problem thing, so you have all your problems, a different problem on each page, right? What I will do, and this is just for me, take what's beneficial and leave the rest, but I will take that one problem and I will pray, and I will say, God, what do you say about this one problem? And I'll be honest, most of the time that I do that, like the words that I hear in my heart, whether they're my own thoughts or whether they're actually God, a lot of the times I'm really sure that they're God, because he just speaks to my identity. And what he'll just tell me is how much he loves me and how much he's proud of me, and, you know, like how he gave his only son. What else won't he give to me? And that he's there for me. And it's so comforting. All of a sudden, when I look back at that problem, I'm like, oh, I guess it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, it's not as important. It's not as significant. But you guys, I swear to God, this has happened multiple times. And this is why I really go big on teaching it. I will ask him about this problem, and I'll say, God, what do you say about it? And one sentence just pops into my mind, and I just write it down. And that one sentence will solve that entire problem. Like it approached it from an angle that I hadn't considered before. And and that's how I really believe it's God. Because here I am racking my brain. It's been giving me trouble for weeks, months, maybe years. And I finally am smart enough to sit down and take the time and say, like, okay, God, you're really smart. Let's sit down and talk about this. And he'll say one word, and it'll change everything. And all of a sudden, I can cross that problem off the list, because now I have a way to approach it and to fix it and to solve it, essentially. And then I get to move on to the next problem. Because again, the only people without problems are in a cemetery. And as long as we're breathing, we're going to have problems. Don't expect an easy, peaceful life. When I refer to that bookshelf of incredible biographies of people that have done incredible things, none of them had easy lives. And so if you're going through adversity, if you're going through hardship, it's not just for you. It's not like God is up there like crafting difficult things. It's the fact that he created humans with this thing called free will. And I don't know why. Like if I were God, I would have done it way different. Free will and humans, not a good idea, because look at the world that we live in. It's kind of a mess sometimes. And so, but that's the world we live in. And because people and humans have free will, they use that free will for selfish reasons, for hurtful reasons, for whatever. And so we're around that all the time. So we're never going to get out of it. So don't expect that a happy and fulfilling life is going to be a life without problems. In fact, the inverse may very well be true. A happy and fulfilling life actually comes with more problems, but again, this is the kind of the theme of this whole message. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. If you started looking at problems as opportunities, what would that do for you? If you started looking at problems in life as like a gift, what would that do to your relationship with those problems? Right? And so if you can change the way that you look at things, it'll change your whole life. And so like, again, we all have problems. We all have issues that we're dealing with. And what I will do is I'll just go through one by one after I've written them down. Please, you guys, please, just write stuff down. Just please. Your schedule, your grocery list, your whatever. It's just like go to the grocery store without writing anything down and try to remember everything on your list. And then the next time, go with like a list that you wrote everything down and tell me the difference. And that's such a microcosm of how we live our life. If you will do that same thing with the grocery store in your like full life, it's the same radically different outcome. One is stressful, trying to rack your brain, and you can't even be present in the store because you're trying to remember what you were supposed to get. Versus, like I'm a nerd. I'm a super nerd. I have no problem admitting that. I write my stuff down in the order of where it is in the store. And so I don't even need to think about that. I get to be present. I get to interact with people and just have a good time. And I, how much of a nerd am I? Well, let me tell you, I time myself when I walk into the store. I start my timer. I kind of gamify it because you can gamify just about anything, which basically turns whatever you're doing into some sort of game or competition where you're competing against. I do the stopwatch on my phone, and like it's amazing. It's so fun for me to get back to my car with everything that I need with it's just crossing the 8-minute mark, you know, and then contrast that to like going to the store with no list. It's just like you get to the store, you're like, oh, it's draining, you know, whatever. It's like, and this is the difference between the life that you want and the life that you were created for and the life that is just draining and hard and difficult. It makes you want to give up sometimes or just drink a ton or whatever. And so those are the main things: getting your problems out, getting God involved with solving whatever the problem is that you're dealing with, and then just like on Sundays, getting your stuff out of your head onto a schedule ahead of you. And thanks for the likes, I appreciate that. And just getting it on paper and then seeing it before it happens. You don't have to live a life of total reaction to what's going on around you. You can be a thermostat or you can be a thermometer, right? And obviously the difference is a thermostat's programmed and it changes the environment around it, and a thermometer is just reactive to the environment around you. So that's the title. That'll be the title of my talk today: thermostat or thermometer. And really the difference between the two is just being a little prepared, writing stuff down, getting it out of your head, and actively solving problems in a way where you're not just on your own. Like, learn from other people. I'm serious, whether it's like financial stuff, career stuff, a big one's relationships. Because our life, the happiness quotient of our life is the quality of our relationships. Period, full stop. I'll say it one more time. Like, the happiness level of our life is directly connected to the quality of the relationships that we have in that life. And so if you have just really difficult, crummy relationships, unless it's your spouse, get new friends, and if it's your spouse or if it's somebody that's close to you, like, you can't change them. We can barely change ourselves. Right? So focus on the things that you can do to contribute better to that relationship. And then, like, just by projection, by you being there, by osmosis almost, your actions and your ability to improve your side of that equation will rub off on them inevitably, because we're social creatures. None of us were meant to live this life in isolation. And so it's just, relationships are so important. And so if you have relationship problems, like, do you know how many amazing books there are on like how to develop a good relationship? Because it's a skill. Like, there was this philosophy when I was growing up. I could talk forever because I love reading and I love learning and I love sharing the stuff that I've learned because I really believe it'll help. There was a philosophy, like even when I was through high school, that basically, like, we're born with a certain set of genes that are going to determine our intellect, our emotional capacity, our ability to succeed in life. And what modern science has shown is that is absolute garbage. Point in case, David Goggins. And if you've never read his book, Can't Hurt Me, it's an amazing book. If you're sensitive to profanity, get the edited version. But this dude was dyslexic. He had, when he graduated high school, he was 6th grade reading level. He was like 300 pounds. And all of a sudden he saw this thing on becoming a Navy SEAL and he's like, I'm going to do that. And so in like 9 months, he lost, like 80 pounds. He learned how to read. And you know what he had to do to learn how to read? He had to write out every single word verbatim of every single book that he read and just read it back to himself. And so he was able to overcome that. He was negative buoyant. He couldn't even swim. And when he would just sit and float, like most of us can just sit and float in the water, he would sink because he was negative buoyant. And he overcame all these things and so much more and became one of the most incredible humans on this earth. I mean, just, I won't go into it, but he's an inspiration. And so like whatever your problem is, I was thinking, like, if you're dyslexic, learn from David, you know, whatever. But wherever you are is not where you have to stay. And I'll end with this. Wherever you are is not how you have to stay. Like, there is a better life, and it starts kind of on Sunday nights. Just getting your stuff in front of you, writing stuff down. And I'm telling you, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was my relationship with God, because then like, guess what, guys? As a human, we all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. We all want somebody who will take us as we are, who's not going to reject us, who's not going to criticize us, who's just going to love us, encourage us, and support us. We're all longing for that. And if anybody says they're not, it's because they're buried that way down in the basement of their soul. And God is that person, and he longs to have a relationship with every single one of us. I promise you it's true. I promise you it's true. And when you do engage with him, with that living being that exists everywhere you go, that you know that he loves you and he's with you, and you can talk to him and you can just invite him into your problems, it changes everything. It changes everything. And so if there's any area in your life that is difficult or frustrating, or is just giving you anxiety or hopelessness, that's an area where there's an opportunity for things to be a lot better. And the way to get to that point is to invite God into that situation, to journal that situation, to find somebody that's gone through that situation and learn from them. Oh, praise God. Awesome, Luke. Thanks so much for saying that, brother. Dude, like, whatever it is, like, unless you're trying to go to Mars, somebody has gone through what you're going through. You can learn from them. Find the resources. There are people out there, and not all resources are created equal, for sure. Sometimes you have to do some hunting, but like, especially the relationship thing. The Gottman Institute, John Gottman, one of the best books on marriages I've ever read in my entire life. You know, like, or if there's a void in your life, like you want a relationship. What's up, Julio? Dude, I was just thinking about texting you. I got an amazing dude amazing musician that I think you'll really like. He's a former veteran and, just makes these amazing songs. I just heard about him today and just thinking about you, brother. Appreciate that. And, guys, like, we don't have to stay where we are. A better life is there. And it's just important to remember, like, today might be our last day on this earth, you know, and if it is, what are we going to do with that? How does that change the way we look at it? And like, inviting God into your situations, like having somebody that unconditionally is for you, unconditionally loves you, unconditionally just wants to see you thrive in every area of your life. Having connection to that, total game changer. Total game changer. And again, it's just that simple prayer. The whole gospel in a nutshell is, God, I'm sorry. I believe Jesus died for my sins. Come into my life and help me. What do you lose by doing that, right? So I could talk, honest to God, for another 2 hours, but I want to just end it there and just want to encourage. I started this by saying, like, the more I experience life, I really believe there are kind of two groups of people, creators and critics. And I just want to encourage every single person that's watching this to continue creating whatever it is that's inside of you, whether it's a better family, better relationships, better experience and interaction everywhere you go, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's books, whatever it is that's inside of you. I believe that it's deposited there. Cause a lot of us think like we're defective, like we're missing something, like there's something that everybody else got that we didn't get. Guys, if you have that thought at all ever, I just am here to tell you that it is a complete lie. Everything you need to live a truly abundant, fruitful, godly, wonderful, wholesome, fulfilling life is inside of you right now. It just takes a little bit of cultivation, like a mine. Sometimes some excavating, sometimes some destruction of some parts, some TNT to blow up some parts that are like not serving you very well. And I just want to tell you guys, some of you are having the best time of your life right now, and things are just going great, and like the wind's behind you and you're coasting and this is great and you're just so grateful. And some of you guys are having the hardest time you've ever experienced and you don't know where to go. And all of us are somewhere in between. And guys, I hope the stuff that I shared earlier today, like by just how to solve problems, how to manage your life energy, your life battery, I hope all these little tools are things that you can incorporate into your life that will just make your life 1% better. Because if it improves 1% compounded over time, you're looking at a totally different life. Because guess what? We're all going to die. 10 out of 10 is the last survey I checked. And what do we want to do in this time that we have remaining? Is the answer to that question is who ultimately we become as humans. So I love all of you guys so much. I'm so blessed to have so many amazing people. Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, this is natural. This happens all the time. The little Elvis curl. Appreciate that. But seriously, I'm so blessed to have so many incredible, inspirational humans in my life around me. I'm so grateful, and I hope that these videos help. And I just want to thank again every single person who took the time to really reach out and share that, to encourage me to do it, because I need it. Because like I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Like I want to find that thing that I can do that can help others. And I want to leverage my life in such a way that it adds value. And it's just like all the stuff that I've learned, I know that has helped me so much. I just want to just dump it, you know? And that's why it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant when I go live here sometimes. So I apologize about that. If you guys want to pray for me, pray for brevity, because it's something I greatly lack. Anyway, God is so good, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just really appreciate you all, and leave a comment if there's something that helped you, or if there's something you're struggling with, if you want me to talk about. And if I have some background in it, I'll be happy to share, you know, like anything that I've learned that could maybe help. But you guys, none of us was meant to live this life in isolation. And there are so many people around us that are struggling, that are just going through, just having the hardest time of their lives. And if we will take care of ourselves, it's not selfish. Like there's a reason when an airplane loses pressure, you put your oxygen mask on first, because if your battery's dead, you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else, right? So let's take care of ourselves. I hope that the stuff that I've shared helps, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, because guys, at the end of the day, time is life. Like our time is our life. How we spend our time is how we spend our life. And the fact that you would think to watch this video, and that I have something that would offer, that would be a value proposition that would make you want to watch, is just humbling beyond words. So love you guys. This video in its entirety will be uploaded to YouTube. I was kind of disgruntled because I did a whole bunch of these on Facebook, and there was a whole bunch that I didn't mark for Facebook not to delete, and they all got deleted. And then now Facebook's new policy is that after 30 days they all get deleted. So that was a tough blow, but I fortunately saved a bunch of them, because like I said, I'm trying to give my best stuff here. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would mean so much to me, because all these will be made on, in their entirety, posted there. And a special thank you to Ka, who is just amazing at, like, I don't manage any of my YouTubes because, like, I suck at that so bad. I hate it. It's exasperating. And she's so good at it. And that's perfect example of how, like, we're all supposed to, like, the things that I love, you might hate. And, like, when we're in a community where, like, you can delegate the things that, like, you hate to somebody who loves that thing, like, imagine a world where we're all doing the thing that we were created to do. Like, how amazing would that be? Right? And so I think we're all on that process and that journey to kind of get there. And like I said, I'm still figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. And so if that's you too, be encouraged. Let's just keep trying, you know, and stay encouraged and encourage one another and stay inspired. Find those things that recharge your soul, whatever that is, as long as it's not like meth or, you know, something like illegal. But God bless you too, Julio. Awesome hearing from you, and looking forward to talking. Oh, that's funny about you're going to grow your hair out too. But anyway, love you guys so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. And hey, use tonight, Sunday, or whenever you see this, to set aside what you want your week to look like, visualize it, get in a space where you're not creating the wheel every single day. You've already seen it in your head what it looks like. And then so you don't have to be reactive to everything. You can be proactive and create the life you want rather than to reacting to the life that already exists. So yeah, thanks, Luke. Dude, the older I get, the more childlike I want to be, man. When I realize that my life's going south, I realize I'm taking myself too seriously. I'm taking life too seriously. And there's a reason Jesus said, like, if you want it, like, unless you become like little children, you'll never see the kingdom of God. Like, you guys, when we're just simple and innocent and curious, that's huge. Cause when we get to be adults, we start to say this thing like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. I know. And that's a dangerous thing. I think two of the most dangerous words in the English language are I know, because that prevents you from learning anything else that could grow you. And so I take that as a total compliment. Luke, I hope I never grow up, man. I hope I never do. I hope I stay childlike and just curious and interested and just always learning, always growing. So I pray that same thing for you. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. God bless. Till the next time. Bye-bye.